All right, hell yeah. So this is some older footage, and we're going to analyze it from what we now know. You know what I mean? We've been working on um, kind of a lot of different moves and just kind of R1 surf dynamics. So we're going to talk about this surf. Hell yeah. So that's the surfer we're going to talk about. Let me just let us watch this all the way through. So we're going to be doing a low-sided turn. This always plays, but it's only half, and so it's going to be a double pumped. And then, yeah, so let's watch it again until we get past that part. So we're going to do a low-sided turn, but it falls flat. We're side surfed, but we're going to double pump it. And then now we're going to use our, oh yeah, right there we jump to the pile. And that's going to be the main thing that we're going to talk about. That jump to the pile makes the boat go a different direction than intuitively I would think it goes on. Because here we're going to do this double pump. I'm on the high side, and I'm still over on that far tube. That far tube should low side me into the wave, but jumping to the pile, it does the opposite. Okay, hell yeah. So now we can kind of slow it down and go through all that. So the setup, this is a very classic setup for this wave, is being on my strong side and then letting the boat hit. I'm going to drive down hard, and I'm kind of just on the side of the wave. And so I can let it be fairly vertical as long as I know it's going to get pushed out. What happens is that the stern and me get wedged up against the pile, and then so this usually gets thrown out pretty heavily. But this time it's subdued, but that's fine because we've also been wanting to analyze kind of side surf dynamics. So I'm going to let it pop in again. And but that's kind of interesting because there's no telling on when this pops in whether it spins. It could spin the other way. It could put the stern in and then flip it back the other way, but it continues the rotation. And so now that I'm going in backwards, I'm just all set up to be on this tube that I'm on and doing another low-sided turn. But I jump to the bow, and so the dynamics here are, so when I jump to the bow, then we go the other direction. Where had I kind of just stayed on this tube and had this rotate around, there's a chance, and especially if I stay lower. If you stay lower on a low-sided tube down into the trough, especially near this diamond shape, you're going to be carving around, like you'll go to the right. And I think, doing these, getting the boat to move without paddle strokes is the really cool thing about an R1 raft. And here, this video is just showing that you can exploit like turning that direction by jumping to this portion of the diamond shape of the boat. Because it's angled this way, if you're effectively putting your weight onto it, it's releasing this tube, or just maybe kind of rocker nature in general. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating. But hell yeah, this tube picks up, and I mean, is that what would have happened otherwise? Not really. Like literally, if I weighted this tube, then that would drive in and potentially make it go the other direction. So that is kind of interesting that I can choose to go potentially this way just by jumping to that corner. Does that mean that if I jump to this corner, the boat would go that direction? I have no idea. Honestly, I don't. But I just know that if this was going to do a low side turn and continue turning down in, being on that far tube near the front, that would drive that into a low-sided turn. Just jumping to the back this corner, it feels like it does the opposite. Jumping into this corner, I don't know. It seems like it would probably do the same because it would probably weight that tube, and that would bite just as much, if not more. And I'd be on a low-sided tube, so there would be a flip risk. So even if I do jump to here, jumping to here, you have to be very cautious about then high-siding. If you pick the wrong tube, and I do jump to this tube, and this is the low-sided tube, then that will put me on the low side and I'll flip, because right here I need to be on this high side. All right, so a lot of that probably isn't hard science. you know what I mean, jumping to this location and having the boat just mysteriously go that way. I think more of it was just due to, let's see, but I think the opposite is true. If I stayed on this low side tube, this would unweight and this would unbite. And this tube would heavily drive in and potentially get thrown the other direction. And so I think a couple of things here. It's just the shoulder, and this bites, and that's going to send a lot of stuff that way. So this video might have been for nothing, you know, just because if I jump to this corner, it's going to do the same thing. But I'm glad I'm analyzing this, because this is always tricky when you're backwards jumping to the bow and not expecting where to be. All right, so hell yeah. So that was this surf. I think we do maybe one more move. We get kicked out. All right, so we can just kind of watch that all the way through. And thanks for joining me on this one. Hell yeah. Booyah.